Hey, Tad.
Hey, man. How are you?
Welcome to the audience, real quick. Welcome,
Okay.
everybody. This is Conversations with Tad. Look at this. I even got it right up there. The name's right, and you can't see it, Tad, but there's a really good description of what we're talking about today. So everything's good, along with hashtags. But look at
Oh,
this, Tad. Tad, wait. You got to see this.
okay.
You can't. You can barely see it. I went over there and tried to remake it right before we started, but I didn't have enough time, and my Photoshop kept on crashing. But look up in the upper right hand corner that says Credo Ministries. That's the you can't really see it, but
Mm-mm.
it's like in cursive the Ministries.
Okay.
Looks kind
All
of
right.
really cool. You can see it behind me though. See it back there?
Yeah. Yep.
You can kind of see it. But
Yeah. But
I
no,
made
good
that.
job. Good job. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Wanted some credit for that. How you doing, Tad?
I'm good, man. I was going to tell you a funny before we get back into this discipleship program or into
Okay.
it. I went to see my uncle earlier, who's he's 91, and but he was kind of next to my dad, one of my best friends, and I did the worst prayer on the planet with him. And I had told him, and there's like one of his buddies in there that's on the third floor, and he called it the 3rd Street. And then my cousin Lee, hi Lee, and Rhonda. And I said, "Can I pray with you?" And he grabs both my hands. He's all excited. And I said, "I'm a terrible prayer." And he goes, "No." And I said, "God, thank you. And I love you. Amen."
That's not a terrible one. That's really actually good.
He was so excited about it. He started, like your mom, not the woos, but the
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought you'd think that was funny. And
that is nothing. That's a great prayer, actually. As long as you say it with confidence, everything will be great. But listen to this, okay?
All right.
I was on my first missions trip, right? And I was kind of the under pastor. This guy named Daryl was the main pastor, and I went with him, kind of learning. I was an intern or a resident at that time. And so we're walking down. This was in Trinidad, and we're walking down the street, and we got a big old group with us, probably 15 people from the church, and we're just talking about where we're going. We're going to meet somebody, and on the way, everybody's saying, "Well, let's pray on the way," and that's what you do. You pray on the way. So I'm like, here I am, new pastor. I'm trying to show my goods, what I got, and so I said, "Hey, let me pray." This is not going to be a good story, by the way. Okay, I'm building it up to nothing, but
That's all right. No, I get it.
but I mean, it really is. I mean, for me, it's like one of those things you go back to and you're just really embarrassed. You're like, what was I doing? But I started the prayer, and started going. I don't know what I said. It was just like, thank you for bringing us here, and we pray for these people that are coming. And all of a sudden, a panic set in over me because I'm praying in public.
And you can
I mean,
hear your
just
voice.
absolute panic. Yeah. And it was overwhelming because I've had this many times where you panic whenever you're speaking in public or praying in public, and you just get through it, right? You just do something. Maybe you look stupid. Maybe it's not that bad. Do it with confidence and you're fine. But here's me. I'm in the middle of the prayer and the panic set in, and I was mid-sentence. I'm kidding, not kidding you, mid-sentence. And I'm like, and Lord, we also ask, panic. And then I just sat there for the longest time, and I looked at Daryl and I said, I don't know what to say next.
That's funny, man.
Instead of just saying amen, to close it out,
Right?
I'm just like, I don't know what to do. It's like I'm so scared right now. I don't know what to do. Anybody who's listening to this, if anybody was on that mission trip with me, you got to write me and tell me you remember that, because that nobody ever said anything. Everybody was nice, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who were like, "What was he doing? Was that some new?"
I've been in a sales presentation where I was speaking in front of everybody that knew more than me.
Yeah,
I looked at the door and I said, "I'm freaking out right now." I told him, and I really just want to run through that door.
Yeah, the difference is you say it with confidence. Whenever you say I'm freaking out right now, it sounds like, it's kind of cool. It's a cool way to do it.
Yeah,
like, man, I'm freaking out right now, so let's just move on to something else.
Yeah, right.
Me, I just freak out and go, I don't know what to do.
That's hilarious. So what do we got? We're doing.
We're going through the discipleship program. So we've talked a lot about it, but this is going to be a formal thing that you and I go through now. And I'm not sure how many sessions it's going to last. It's if I'm teaching it by myself without talking back and forth, it's 10 sessions, and that's going really fast. But I have a feeling we're gonna, take a lot longer on each one of these, and it'll be more comprehensive because for you, this is what you need a lot of is some type of comprehensive kind of overview of everything, and it is. It's a high level overview of Christianity. It's the general one, and I'll explain more in just a minute. But Tad, you've been doing really good too. I want everybody to know that. It's been a while since we've been on. I mean, all kinds of things happened, and we'll tell you about those things as we go. But me and Tad talk every day, and you ought to see this. I'm not this. This is bragging on God, Tad, not you. Okay?
Yeah, no, I don't.
You ought to see the stuff
anything.
Tad's doing, huh?
I don't take anything about me. It's all
No,
God.
it is. It is about you. I just don't want you to feel like I'm not doing that. I'm just saying this to everybody because this is really what God is doing with Tad. It's crazy. And Tad, you remember whenever I used to always say, man, if I could just get you over to Christianity, because you just talk to everybody. You're one of those guys you'll talk to anybody and you can start up a conversation with everybody and keep it going. And it's a fun conversation. And so that's the reason I was like, man, God, if you could get Tad, he'd be a great guy to go out there and witness to people, to evangelize. Those are words we use, kind of insider words, witness and evangelize. You've been saying them some lately too, which is really funny. But I mean, that's what Tad's been doing a lot of. He calls me every other day with a new person he's talked to, whether it's just on the street or at his apartment complex, or just at dinner. He goes over to tables and starts talking to people at tables, and he's got his little intro and stuff. So, Tad, I want everybody to know how good you're doing. But tell us about your intro, how you introduce your conversation with everybody.
I think 2 days ago, Saturday, to my neighbor. And we were outside, and I was having a cigarette, and but I was out front. It was kind of raining, kind of not here, and I just asked him. I said, "Hey, quick question. There's something about you. You've got a good energy about you, and if you wouldn't mind, I'm talking with a buddy of mine, and I'm trying to figure out, did you believe in God first or religion?" And that just turned into this whole discussion.
God first or what?
Religion. Like I'm Catholic or was. And so I just believed in the church first, and then God came second in my mind. And that's how I always felt. And so that's kind of my startup. And it's amazing the response you get. I haven't heard one time, I don't believe in either, and I have called some churches and left some messages that I want to visit, and I can't wait for that.
He's calling Satan. He called me the other day, and he's like, "Dude, check out this website." I tried to call them and tried to get a meeting, and it's Satanist website in Oklahoma because he just wants to go talk to him.
I do. I mean, and then I called.
He's like, "They're having after school specials, dude."
They are. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And then they have and I called that Christian Science place or whatever you called it, and I got the pastor's cell phone, and he didn't pick up, and I just said, "Hey, I got some questions, man. I'm in the middle of learning about Jesus and God, and I would love to hear your
Christian Scientist would not call you back if you said, "I'm in the middle of learning about Jesus."
Well, the Jehovah's Witness didn't call me back. Remember?
Wow.
Yeah.
You must be really intimidating.
Well, I just said, "Look, you're not going to convince me of anything. I just want to hear your way."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'll call you next week." No.
We'll get with the Mormons. They will for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mormons. Writing that down.
They're we'll have to talk about that if you ever get in one of the Mormons coming and really start a conversation with them, because it's very interesting how the take on how Mormonism is. We've talked a little bit about this before.
Yeah.
On one of our podcasts.
The thing is, they know so much more about what they're talking about than I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, they've got a script. They know their script real well.
Yeah.
You get them off script, and it's difficult. I mean, you saying whether religion came first or God would probably get most Christians, including Mormons, off script, because it's a good question, and it's like, makes people think. Yeah.
Okay, get back to school. Okay,
well, let's bring up. This is the PowerPoint thing that we're going to be using, and hopefully I'll remember to switch in between, like this, and get us back, and like this, and switch around. And if I don't, and you notice it, let me know, because I get going and then I don't notice. Okay. But this is the discipleship program. Like I said, we're going to be going through. Let's see here. Let me get over to it. We're going to be going through 10 different subjects altogether. And you actually did read my book whenever it came out in 2014, that is Now That I'm a Christian. And it follows the same general pattern as Now That I'm a Christian. So I think it'll be good for us to go through this again.
Okay.
Or for us to go through it in a conversation like this.
Yeah. No,
so
this is going to be fun. Yeah.
Notice here, Tad, on the left-hand side, there are the 5 main doctrines, we would call it: doctrine of the Bible, doctrine of mankind, doctrine of the Trinity, doctrine of Jesus, and doctrine of faith. And then on the right side is kind of the things that we do as Christians. So what do we believe, and what do we do as Christians? Got it?
Got it.
No, this isn't all of them, obviously, but I tried to think of the primary ones that if I only had 10 things to teach people, what would I teach them? And then this is it.
No, this is good. This is perfect.
Good. Okay, so we're gonna start here. Maybe we won't even move from here. I don't know if you've ever seen this graphic. I need to remake this. This is bad.
No, it's
really
not.
bad. Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, this was back in the early 2000s, where you just cut and paste. Yeah, those discs that you got, those CDs that had all the image art.
Yeah,
I just went around and chose image art. I thought those were golden back then. But this goes all the way back from there. Huh?
You've done a lot of work.
I need to do AI.
I don't know if I say this enough to you, but thank you for sticking with me and going on this journey. I mean, because this is going to be a really big deal, and I got a lot to tell you later. Yeah. But thank you, Michael.
Well, my pleasure, for sure. My pleasure. I mean, it's awesome. And everybody, thank you. As we do this is just you sitting as a fly on the wall. I don't know. I don't have the comments to where I can see them, but if you make comments, we'll see them afterwards. Wherever that you're at, we'll probably see them. I don't know whether we will. We're figuring this whole thing out. But Tad, check this guy out, okay?
Okay.
This represents... The guy in the middle represents kind of this guy. Look, he's thinking, he's sitting on the back of a chair and he's hanging out and he's thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And he's trying to figure out the God question. Like, what is there a God? Does he love me? If he does, how do I approach him? How to pray, everything, right? Mm-hmm. And just think of this, what we're starting off with, Tad, is we're being stripped bare with nothing, no assumptions or anything. We're coming to this without this idea, because let me go through these real quick, and then I'll show you some illustrations. But notice here, this guy is referring to culture down on the bottom left. Those are just people, right? Mm-hmm. So he's saying, what does culture say about God? What does America? We live in America. What does Oklahoma say about God? That will influence you. But is it something that I should reference? And then here's mom and the kid, and, remember what parents taught me. So he's thinking about how he grew up, which creates a lot of assumptions. It's creates who we are to such a large degree that we have to not divest ourselves of. But whenever we're learning like this, because the subject is so serious, we can't just automatically assume, since mom and dad taught me and I love it and I've taught up my whole life, that it's got to be true. We'll have an emotional kinship with the first two, culture and family. It's going to be hard to break yourself away from emotions that you've had your entire life, whether good or bad.
Those are the questions I'm asking people. I didn't know that this was part of I didn't know, but this is crazy anyway, sorry.
Well, just think of it, Tad. I mean, think of all the emotions that get tied up within, if you grew up like you grew up in the Catholic Church, and it really does influence you and your discussions now. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying when we start studying at a base level, you've got to do your best to not start with all the assumptions that we normally would start with, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like saying this: at every point on this, you could be wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And you could say that out loud. Yeah, I could be wrong, but it's really believing that. It's really believing that you could be wrong that opens yourself up to learning. Because if you go in with something to where you're like, you already know you're right, then whatever you listen to.
You, by the way.
Oh, well, I was always right. So, yeah, well, it used to be all of us. I mean, really. I mean, that's whenever I used to fight people, literally fight people because they believed in evolution back in the day. Remember? Yes. Starting the fights at dugout.
Yep. You talk about everything in here, man. There's no secrets.
Oh, I know, man. I was
so much fun, dude.
I was very passionate, yet at the same time drunk all the time. I know. None of y'all could figure me out. I couldn't figure myself out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you're going in and you're fighting for something because you know it's kind of like these two, culture and family, create the situation where you're like, how do you know you're right? Because that's what we're asking here. How do you know? This is the how do you know question. Okay. That comes before all others. How do you know? And you say, how do you know that you're right? And if you say, I just know that I know, that's a red flag, right?
Okay.
I mean, it is. Think about it. It's like, okay, all you're doing is having some type of tautology, a repetition of what you're saying, and somehow that justifies it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're really saying is deep, deep down inside, I have an emotional commitment to this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's usually created.
Didn't Popeye say something like that? I am what I am.
I am that I am. Yeah, that's very close to the tetragrammaton, which is the name of God in Deuteronomy chapter 6, or Exodus chapter 6, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, I am sent you. So I don't know if that's supposed to be pulled from that or whatever. If Popeye was being blasphemous, I don't know. I liked him though. But anyway, let me go through the rest of these
real quick.
Sure.
I'm nervous right now.
Why?
I don't know. Because we haven't done it in a while. And
yeah.
I feel like I'm going into another chapter now. But I just feel a little nervous. And that's probably not real cool, but it's... I was telling Rhonda that when we were coming back, and I said, I'm nervous. And she was like, why? Because, one, we haven't done this in a little while. And two, I'm learning. I'm going to such another place now. Like, okay, I believe. And now, like you just said, what made me think about it was why. And I haven't thought that through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why do I believe? Just because you told me, you're convincing, you're my best friend, one of them. And I just wanted to throw myself out there and just tell people that right now.
I think that's probably it's probably the right attitude, because you're opening yourself up. Here you are. You have changed. You have been one way your entire life. You have changed. You're excited about it. But now I'm trying to tell you could be wrong.
Yeah, and that's
you see what I'm saying.
Yeah, trying to talk me out of it.
Yeah. And in a way, that's what you have to do with so many things. You have to, in order to be right on something, you have to open yourself up to being wrong. In order to be convinced of something, you have to go through the process of, really asking why I'm convinced. And
do you remember when you did that?
I remember stages of it.
Okay.
Like, I remember being very, very scared a lot of times whenever I was at seminary, because it challenged a lot of my thinking. And luckily, I went to a really good seminary, and I had really good professors. At least most of them were. And they followed this process. They followed challenging me on everything and basically arguing against what they believed and what I already believed in order to make me question it, so that I could open myself up to believing it in a different way, at a different level. Not because I just always believed it, or not just because it was the first thing that I learned, but because it's the most convincing of all of the options. And so when we're looking at this, it is a scary thing.
Go back to it. This is fun for me. I just wanted to tell you I'm nervous a little bit.
No, I understand too. And another thing is, it is true. Like I can tell you all these different places that I was at in my life whenever I did, like different subjects. See, we're doing it broadly right now. What the subject that we're talking about is called, if you're going through theology, and we'll do this sometime, we'll go through and do all the fancy names and all this, but the fancy name for this is prolegomena and epistemology. Now, prologue, a prologue to a book, right?
Yeah.
It's what you read before. You're supposed to read it. Nobody does, but it's a thing everybody skips. But in theory, it's the thing you have to read in order to understand the book that's coming.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is we're doing the prologue to everything else.
Okay. All right.
And unfortunately, most people miss what we're doing right here. They just go ahead and assume it and say, here's what I already know and believe. Where's some place that teaches the exact same thing and, convinces me even deeper of it? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of challenging me.
Yeah. This is going to be fun.
Okay. So you got the guy, he's looking at culture. He's looking at his parents. He's also looking to creation. And he's saying, what does creation tell me about God and God's love, right? Mm-hmm. Lots of things you can learn from that. You don't need anything else. Creation can, even in the Bible, Romans chapter 1 says that since the creation of the world, God's invisible attributes have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So that's the creation is another place. Another place is your experience, like prayer, right? See, you got your emotions all tied up over here. Prayer is supposed to represent like what has happened to you in the past. Like, what do you remember God doing for you in your life? That type of thing. Yeah. Like you might be able to reach back. You say, I know God exists. And you say, well, how do you know? They say, because one time I prayed for this and this happened. You know what I mean?
Does that ever happen?
For people?
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, it doesn't happen that much for me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that I notice. I should notice things better. I don't. Yeah. It's like you were telling me the other day. Look at all this stuff. Every time God comes through for you, that is a big deal for me. Mm-hmm. He does. He comes through last minute. So I'll tell you, he is a God that's not quick about showing me the long path, but the short term, and trusting him day by day instead of, all right, let's get the next year's trust out of the way. Give me an experience and let me know, because I don't want to have to trust daily. I want to trust yearly. Yeah. Or maybe even a lifetime. But yeah, I mean, people have experiences with God all the time. I mean, it's something I think sometimes is more personality based. And I'm not saying that and saying, well, it's not really true then. I'm saying I really do think God works with different personalities in different ways. And so there's going to be certain people that have more stories. I don't have that many great stories, I got the one Angie story. That was a big deal. It really was. Yeah. It didn't turn out great, but you know what I'm saying? It was still something that I look at and I say, golly, God did show up that day.
There's no way that could have happened otherwise. No way.
Oh, by the way, I'm talking about a time whenever my sister was depressed and very sad, and I went out randomly looking for her in Dallas. First place I pulled in for some reason, there she was. And if I told you a little story, there was no way I could have known, and there's no reason why I would have thought she was gone to that particular one. But anyway, so and I found her, and she was about to commit suicide, so I stopped her. So that was kind of the miracle and the excitement there. Yeah. Okay, so you got experience. That really covers not just prayer life, but all experience. What has happened to you? What has God done for you? What miracles have you seen? What miracles have happened to you? That's all going to contribute to your understanding of God, right? Mm-hmm. And we're just kind of, again, laying it out on the table. We're not saying right or wrong right now. We're just saying, here's all the options. Let's try to put these things in order and figure out what's most important, what's less important, maybe what's not important at all, right?
Yeah, that's I was thinking about this, and I think I was talking about it the other day. That's really interesting you brought that up. That, I was adopted at
You were
birth.
what?
I was adopted.
Yeah.
At birth to probably the greatest family. That's a blessing. And my life was amazing until, I had a bad 4 or 5 years or something, 6. But lucky with my business, but I think that was just him blessing me and taking me out of my comfort zone, because I don't have a college degree. And the industry I was in, I was the only one that didn't. And I won big for a long time. And but I think he just pushes us. I'm just thinking this through as I go. I'm just processing. But that's crazy. Yeah, if you start really looking back at it, because your family's amazing, dude, and you got a great wife. Kids are, there's always going to be something going on. But you got great friends. You got a great following. Those are a lot of blessings, man.
Yeah, they are. They are. And your experience in general. Look at your experience so far in life, where you're at now. Look at your experience of me and you being friends this long, staying talking throughout all those years that I was doing one thing, you were doing another, but we still kept up. It is. You can look back upon this and you could say, man, that was God. And that will contribute to how you understand things. And again, we're just laying it on the table, not necessarily saying this was God, but we're just saying maybe it was,
Yeah.
Maybe not.
It's got to be something.
Yeah. And okay. you can go to of course, the next one here. Let me put it back up here.
Yeah.
The next one is the Bible, right? So you ask most Christians, where do you go to for truth? What's the first thing you're going to say?
The Bible.
The Bible, yeah. Normally, that's what they'll say. And then you say, where else do you go? And unfortunately, most people would say, nowhere else. I just go to the Bible. And that's not true, ever. No, there's not one true for, it's not true, because you say, how did you get to that belief that the Bible was the place you go? And they may say, my church, which, by the way, is the last guy. That's a preacher. I know it looks like an Anglican preacher, or I don't know what.
Yeah.
Lutheran preacher, I think. But that represents church. And they say, well, my church told me. And okay, so you're already going to tradition, right? So, but most people would say the Bible. And I'm not saying that's good or bad right now. I'm just saying that's the place where Christians go. And we have to evaluate how these all work and which ones are justified more so and which ones are less justified in what situations. This may be the most important concept to get down in every area of life, because we usually don't evaluate why it is we believe what we believe and how reliable the sources are. But the Bible, the next one is emotions.
Okay.
And that's just pure emotions. How do you feel? So if I said, to somebody, and again, this is going to be somewhat personality dependent, because some people, and I've told you this before, Tad, are more emotionally acute. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah. I know you laugh at that every time I say it, but you've had that confirmed a few times since I said that. Yeah. And that's just, they're more in tune with their emotions. Some people are more distant from their emotions, and that's, neither necessarily good or bad. Right. It's just your personality. And it's harder for you to connect with your emotions. And it's not saying, whenever I speak about God, I don't use my emotions, because my emotions can lead me wrong. So I never use, that's not true for anybody. But at the same time, some people very, very much rely on their emotions and just say, well, how do you know God loves you? Because I just feel it. Yeah. Well, what if one day you don't feel it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What if one day it just disappears? Because, I've had people call me, and I think I've told you about this before, Tad, at least this one guy, which really kind of was hard on me. Whenever I'm talking to doubters, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are Christians, Tad, who have been Christians. That's the only type of doubters I take. I don't take kind of I'll talk to people who are doubters in general, but I'm talking, this is the specific ministry. Christians who are going through a crisis of faith, and usually it's an incredibly emotional thing. They're falling apart emotionally.
Does that come in waves? Because it seems like you're getting it seems like you're getting more than one call about that recently.
Yeah.
And does it like just kind of settle for a while and then
It
all of
only
a sudden?
does. It only does because I don't reach out and let people. As long as I'm reaching out and letting people know again, hey, I'm here. You can call me. Then it ramps up. But I can't take that many people, at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, I can't take it. I really can't,
I
because
know.
it's hard on me emotionally to
Mm-hmm.
try to help somebody through this crisis.
It's such a personal thing for you, and that's why
Yeah.
you're so good at what you do. Because you really listen and pay attention, and I think that's why you and I've got along so well for so long. We'll get down to the Lutheran guy.
Lutheran guy represents tradition, just broad tradition. So you get your church, that's included. You can even say culture is part of tradition, and that's fine. And your mom is part of tradition. Whenever I teach this in the theology program, that big 60 session program I do, I put them all together, but I kind of like looking at it this way too. But tradition, like you said, do you believe in church or God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one comes first, church or God? And that's really saying the same thing. Which one comes first, tradition or God?
Right. That's exactly
Yeah.
just a better way of saying it than I say it. But yeah.
No. I think your way's better, actually, whenever you're out on the street, because people don't really know what you mean by tradition. I think whenever you give a hard example like church, it really works.
Okay.
Better. So you got all these. Now I want to go through each one of these a little bit and talk about them. I'm not saying we're going to get through all these because we're already at 32 minutes. Well, actually, right now, you want to stop right now, and we'll
Okay.
try to keep these to 30 minutes apiece, and that way it's good bite size.
All
and
right.
Then next time we're going to look at each one of these and discuss each one as looking at the. Well, no. Before we do that, next time, let's just talk about the Bible for a little while, and then we'll come back to this and discuss each one, kind of the benefits and deficiencies of each. That's a lot of fun. Sound good?
Yeah. I've been waiting to do this for a long time. Yeah.
All right, good. Well, listen, guys. So it looks like we got a lot of people in the rooms here, but I turned on the chat, and I turned it on too late. I figure these things out too late. So next time I'll try to get this on quicker, and that way, what we can do is Tad and I can discuss this for a while. I'll be watching your comments, and if you have any questions or anything else for either me or Tad, we'll bring those up. Sound good,
and
Tad?
I'd like to meet those people that are commenting. They really do appreciate them, no matter what they're saying. And I would like to reach out to each one of them.
So if you make a comment, just be advised, Tad's going to try to get a hold of you.
No,
So beware about the comments.
Yeah. And I don't know how this works, man. Okay, all right. I was just wanting to say thank you.
No, it's good.
To each one of them individually, and then tell them about our 501c3, the 1023, and
what in the world is a 1023?
What was it on a 1023?
I don't know.
What was the other?
Heard that?
There's another one.
We got the 501c3, but
yeah,
I don't
we
know
got
about
another one.
1023.
We got another one too.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll pick this up. When are we going to pick it up again, Tad?
Whenever you want, man.
Are we going to do it Tuesdays and Thursdays? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's fun.
All right. Well,
Tuesday,
you want to set a time to where we're going to do it 2:00 Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Okay, we could do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday if you want to. I want our buddy Kelly on. He wants to be on again, and
We'll do other ones with this. I noticed here I got this named. I got it Conversations with Tad, and I got it named -100. And so what I'm going to call this discipleship one, I'm going to go put a dash, and then the next one's going to be 102, 103, 104. Then we could do random conversations with Tad as well, but this will just go into a category that is on the discipleship program.
Okay, sounds good to me, man. Whatever you want to do.
All right. Well, we'll talk again probably right after we get done here. We'll call.
Okay. I love you, Mike.
Love you.